Hello, everybody. How are you? Uh, Welcome for this. A few technical issues, but here we are. Can everybody hear me?
Oh, yes, we can.
Yeah. So today it was the computer. Yesterday it was the Wi-Fi. So welcome to this session. Maybe we can just start with a quick introduction. From Let's start with Anne, then Ibironke, then Grace.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Anne Muhoro. I'm from Kenya, and I am an ICT person. My background is ICT, but I have been working with women and girls, empowering them and creating solutions to everyday issues that impact their productivity, impact their participation in the workplace or even in business. So I'm happy to be here. I'm the founder of a company called Period Lab, which brings sustainable, reusable period products. Yeah.
Amazing. So Anne has used very few words to describe herself. There's her panelist profile is right on top of the screen. So the most interesting thing about Anne, because I don't need to read everything, is that Anne has actually combined her IT background together with her passion. And she's an innovator. She doesn't like saying that. She's innovated some really amazing products for women. Her passion and her work is in ending period poverty, and she runs a campaign called the Notable Campaign. So that's just the most unique thing about her. So her profile is there. I don't want to go word for word, but as we get to know her, then I mean, I'm sure she will. She'll be able to share with us her amazing work. Thank you, Anne. So, if you're okay, please, you're next. Just use your own as we put up your profile.
Thank you, Pauline. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Birunke Akimade. I hope you can hear me. All right. So I
Oh,
I work with Sterling Bank. I'm currently the group head for health finance. I've worked in various parts of the banking industry, and I've worked in several banks, and I've worked in different divisions of the bank. But in the last 5 years, I've handled development finance across two main sectors, education and health. And with my wealth of experience, I've worked with basically what we've tried to do is to leverage on digitization, partnerships and affordable finance in trying to solve problems in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. So, and I'm very passionate about solving problems around women and children. I'm looking forward to having a fruitful discussion this evening. Thank you for having me.
All right, great to meet my fellow panelists, Anne and Ibironke. My name is Grace Vihenda. I work at Kenya Airways. I lead our innovation hub. We have an innovation hub that has programs that are focused on staff and also programs that help us bring innovation, consolidate the innovation ecosystem uh, between Kenya Airways and the environment, which includes the education, different education institutions and universities that we work with. We also work with non-airline kind of partners, non-traditional partners, as you would, as most people call them. And also, I don't know, Pauline, if you're back. You-
yes, I am back. I'm back on another computer. Yes.
No problem, sorry. Yeah. So we have these two programs, and in this, both the internal Kenya Airways internal program where I drive the innovation culture within the organization, and we see how do we bring innovation from outside of the organization into KQ. Then we find that there's a very strong women agenda in between. Maybe because I'm a woman. Yeah, but definitely the issues around how do we include women more, how do we make women participate more. It just happens every day in my space. Yeah, and this is when I'm looking at our internal environment as well as the external environment that we are working with to bring innovation into the organization and to bring innovation from the organization outwards. So I'm really looking forward to the discussion. It's dear to my heart. Yeah, and thank you for inviting me, Pauline.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So we'll be joined by Diwura. Diwura is the founder of Tech for Dev. She's running a little bit late in this Lagos traffic and she can't connect. And then we also have Maurice. Maurice is the CEO of ABC Health. She'll also be joining us. She had a flight yesterday. She told us about that, so she will join us as we move along. I don't know if Grace, congratulations on your recent add to your portfolio as sustainability head at Kenya Airways.
Thank
It's
you.
no small
Thank
feat.
you.
Did you mention that?
I didn't mention that. You want me to
Why?
include it?
Of course, that is that's another feather to your cap. You are head of innovation, but now you're head of innovation and sustainability. And this
Yes,
conversation actually lies heavily on sustainability. I mean, gender equality is a very big pillar
big
or
part.
one of the big parts of the SDGs, SDG 5. So please tell us more about what to expect from you in regards to your sustainability role.
Thank you. So on the sustainability role, we are really looking to see how to implement ways in which we can make our organization more sustainable in the long term. So we're not just looking at the environmental aspects, but even the economic viability of our organization, which is a big topic. We've been loss making for some time for many different reasons. And so part of being sustainable is actually our economic sustainability. And then also there's the social aspect of it, where there's our people, the people of Kenya Airways, which includes, of course, the gender matters. Yeah. So for our organization to be more sustainable, it means that we have to include even the women. We have a strong agenda also around disability inclusion. Um, and then the third item is now the environmental sustainability. So we're looking at it three-prong and not just, for most people, when we talk about sustainability, they think of environment. Yeah, but we're making it to be more holistic. So that we're looking at the economic, the social, and the environmental aspects of sustainability. And here looking at the longevity of our organization. Thanks, Pauline. Pauline, I think you're on mute.
Hear me now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome once more to everybody. Just a few house rules, of course. If you have any questions, please just put them in the chat box and be specific, maybe to which particular panelist you may want to ask the question to, or if it's general, just put it there and we'll be able to get to it. Um, Other than that, please just be expectant. I'm sure you learn quite a lot. So, Badili is actually Swahili and Yoruba for become change. D is Yoruba for become, Badili is Swahili for change. Because the idea is that we are building, not just having conversations, but the work that we've done over time and the kind of partnerships that we have are not just about conversations, but actually promoting work that actually makes change, and not just change, but transformational change, sustainable change. So become change is DiBadili because we are focused on Africa, and our tagline is about we are about developing local competencies for global relevance. So as we have seen, all of you just hold and have done a lot of work in blue chip companies and also in personal capacity to actually create change, not only just for your organizations or for yourselves, but which has a global footprint. So welcome to this and welcome to everybody who is tuned in. I think we can go right into the question, to the conversation. My first one is to Ibironke. Ibironke has a very huge portfolio. She's the money person in Nigeria. And you know, Nigerians don't do small money. When we talk in Nigeria, we don't even talk about Naira. We talk in regards to millions. And what I love about the work that Sterling Bank has done with on sustainability is not just what you cannot see, but actually what you can see. They have a building that actually is solar powered, solar panels and all that. They have shown, they have gone on to show out. You know, most of the organizations actually just do the work behind the scenes. Maybe Bironke can tell us more about what they've done in regards to sustainability, specifically on gender inclusivity. Thank you, Bironke.
Okay, thank you so much, Colin. Thank you for touching a very place that is precious to us in Sterling. Um, we bank the practice inclusion not by just lip service, but by real by really doing the thing. Okay, so let me tell you what we started. So I'll tell you from different in terms of the workplace. For women, because we're not gender biased at all, right? And we are very high on inclusion. What we've done first of all is we have a group called Bloom Network, where younger women are given a voice; they can speak. So it's like a support group that helps to mentor young women in the organization, such that you're able to thrive within the workplace. You don't need to wait for your boss. You don't need to get lost. That's one of our latest, and I'm very passionate about it. We've done a lot of things in terms of wellness. Beyond that, again, in terms of workplace support, we have a crash for women with young mothers, where you can drop your baby. You can go ahead to go and nurse your baby during the day. When you come to work in the morning, there's a very up to date crash where you can drop your baby. That's what Sterling Bank has done. Beyond that, you have extended maternity periods, right? You have 1 month paternity period if you're a man, and for a woman, you have up to 4 months. You have extended work hours. You can resume at 9 and close at 3. Again, you can work remote, right? So what I didn't enjoy as a young banker, right? When I started my career, I didn't have access to all this, right? And I had friends that had to dump their jobs or had to look for something else to do because they couldn't cope with the pressure and in the workplace, right? And raising up kids. But Sterling is very gender friendly. There's an opportunity for every woman, and there's inclusion. Every woman is rated the same way. You are even given equal opportunities, right? And because we know you have a lot to do at home, we go the extra mile. So we have flexible hours, we have flexible working conditions, right? Like I said, you have someone who's able to mentor you, you have someone who's able to hold your hand, such that you're not lost in the workplace.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I hope the rest of the panelists are actually stealing ideas on what they can enforce in their own organizations, or at the very least suggest. So the next question is for Grace. I know you are the head of innovation, but when you talk about Kenya Airways, people think of this big, big organization that serves the elite. Because let's face it, Kenya Airways flights are not cheap. But what work have you done with rural women? How have you gone beyond the people you serve, either at the workplace or even your clients? But how have you included the rural women maybe in some of your programs, if at all?
Yeah, to be honest, that remains a gap. Yeah, remains a big gap. Even our innovation hub has really been growing roots around the urban areas, and it's a discussion we're beginning to see and ask ourselves: how do we include the rural areas, even in the participation of the innovation hub, in the participation of the organization? So beyond Kenya Airways transporting agricultural produce, which means that we have to work with the different farmers across the organization. So that's as far as it goes when it comes to our cargo uplifts. And so there's the agricultural products, which is fruits and vegetables, which of course we get from the rural areas, and we have to build networks and partnerships with people in the rural areas. But beyond that, we do not really have something solid. Yeah, so I can say that's a work in progress, Pauline. I think in another few months, if you ask me that, I'll have a good answer for you. Maybe Ibironke or Anne have probably done much better than us in terms of engaging people in the rural areas. I would suspect so.
Okay, over to you, Anne and Ipironke. Do you have anything to say about maybe your work involving the rural women in regards to innovation efforts? And maybe you can go first, because I know Ipironke has maybe an example.
Sorry, I lost you a bit there. What was it? What
So,
did you say? The network fluctuated.
so the same question about involving rural women in your innovation
Okay.
efforts as an
Yeah.
organization. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Is
All right. Yeah.
yeah. Mhm. So, and
Right.
what
So
have you been able to do? Mhm.
yeah, in my work as a, an innovation, an innovator, I have worked with women in Uganda, rural Uganda, training them on business processes. Actually, my background is IT, but I have been a business analyst, a project manager for a long time. So I have trained women in business processes in a personal capacity, not with any employer, in a personal capacity, how to manage their businesses, how to source for products, how to look for financing, which has been a big challenge. As you can imagine, women face a lot of challenges in getting funding or getting mentors. So I've acted as that mentor, but we still need, we still need to address the gap on getting financing from institutions or from private sector. Also, through my work in Period Lab, I'm reaching out to women and girls, training them on, menstrual hygiene, but not just, one-time use products. We focus on reusable products. Initially, of course, these are a big cost on industrial-made products. So we have taught them using patterns, different patterns, how to sew your own, but we provide them the special material that makes the pants really reusable for a long time. Our pants serve up to 10 years if they're well used, well taken care of. So we are addressing different aspects of women and girls in the rural area. That's economically training them on business, and also addressing the small challenges that can actually incapacitate them in participating in the economy. Right.
Amazing. Mhm. Mhm.
Pauline, can I add something to that?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yeah, so as much as we haven't really worked so much with the women in the rural areas, but we've also worked with disadvantaged women in urban areas. Like, for example, we've had quite a number of projects. For example, I don't know if you have flown Kenya Airways, you probably have seen our cabin crew wearing headgear that looks like beads. So those beads are actually, are actually made from our old magazines, our old in-flight magazines that were discarded. So instead of throwing them away, we took them to a women's group that turned that into the beads that you see them wear. So we have that among other programs where we are also wanting to work with still women in the urban areas, but with disabilities. So still seeing how to include them, how to empower them. Yeah, but I am accepting that we need to move a bit further out into the rural areas to empower them as well.
Amazing. Amazing, Grace. Ibironke, anything to add?
Oh yes. Oh, that's brilliant. I was just taking in what she just said, and I'm like, wow, that's brilliant. Because I know I've noticed that the last year when I went to Kenya, and I noticed the beats on the air hostess, so I could relate with what she was saying. That's really nice. Okay, for us, we've done quite a bit, but I think we're not done. Okay, so in terms of the Bloom Network, the one I told you about, the support group for women in the workplace, what we've done is be able to provide sanitary towel for some girls in Lagos. Some young girls are unable to go to school during their period, right? Because they don't have sanitary pads. So as a network, as a as a unit, like I said, the Bloom Network, we're able to provide these ladies with sanitary pads such that it doesn't affect their education. They get the right support, right? We partnered, and then that one. But in terms of innovation, what we did was we have an app for our EduBank where parents can get access to loans, right, to pay for their children's fees, and then they pay over a period. So we pay directly to the school. Just do this by going onto the app, and then this will be able to do, so you can invest. If you have surplus funds, you invest and you get some returns, and then again you're able to get funds for your child's school fees so that education is not interrupted. In terms of rural women, like you requested, so for the rural women, what we did was to provide micro lending, such basically financial inclusion for them. People in the villages with 1,000 a day, you can send your child to school. What they so for very you pay a particular amount, where school fees is very, very little. You just keep on saving, right? However, we go ahead and pay your school fees. So your regular contribution that you contribute, right? By the app, you're able to now pay your child's school fees. So that way we're able to reduce the number of children out of school, right? So with 1,000 naira a day, right, you're able to send your child to school. And then another thing I know we've done in that area is we just develop an app, right? Where from your home you can apply for a loan to pay for school fees. You don't need to go to the bank, you don't need to know the bank manager, just download just go online, go to the web, and then you click on this and you can pay for school fees. You can apply a loan for your health, finance. You can also, and I know we are gender sensitive. So for women, what we plan to do is to give it discounted rates. So I think those are things we are doing. But basically for rural women, what we have done is to through the support group, provide funding for the girls to be able to have access to hygiene, such that when they are doing their period, their education is not interrupted. They won't say they're not going to school because they're unable to afford sanitary pad. Then they are able to use discounted rates to pay for school fees. In other words, just daily contribution does not interfere with school fees. I think those are, and all this can be downloaded on our EduBank portal. Yes, so that's it.
We should have had such products in Kenya when we were growing up. Yeah, we really have benefited a lot of people, and I think that's something we can copy in Kenya.
Yes, yes, for sure. Diwura, are you there? Hello, Diwura.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome, but we can't see you. We would like to see you.
Yeah, so I'm struggling with internet connectivity. For some strange reason, today happens to be the day everything is happening at the same time. But I'm struggling with internet connectivity for some really strange reason. So I keep getting kicked out. But I was just thinking that if I kept my video off, it could help to preserve bandwidth. But I can just do a quick show of my face, if that would help, and then just keep the video off just for bandwidth conservation.
Yeah, on a light note, I know people like Grace and Anne cannot relate with some of these struggles that we have in Nigeria. Huh? They truly cannot relate with some of these connectivity issues that we keep suffering. Even when you have even even when you have good internet and good Wi-Fi. So I know you can't relate, Grace and Anne. Please don't think of that as very backward, but we're trying.
I'm
Just
seeing
move
business
to Kenya.
opportunity, Pauline.
Yeah. Or you just move to Kenya. It's easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you're wondering what kind of fourth world, not even third world. And yes, I can assure all of us have access to at least what we call good Wi-Fi. So yeah, Diwura, kindly please just tell us, do a quick introduction of yourself and the work you do in the innovation and sustainability ecosystem.
Okay. Good afternoon from Lagos, everyone. My name is Oladipo Oladipo. My friends and colleagues call me Diwura. I'm a co-founder and executive director at Tech for Dev. Tech for Dev is a non-profit organization. The core of the work we do is around providing opportunities and platforms for young Africans to access decent work and entrepreneurship. And we do this through digital skilling, empowerment, and advocacy. We currently have a program across 15 African countries at the moment. Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Egypt, South Africa, South Sudan, DR Congo, Morocco, Algeria, Angola, Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia. I don't want to run through the entire list, but we're in 15 countries. And we have a gender-focused program at the intermediate digital skilling level called the Women Techsters. So the Women Techsters is aimed at bridging the digital divide between men and women in technology, and also enabling women to be able to have access to improved economic livelihood opportunities. And we're doing this through technology. We currently have, with the Women Techsters, we have empowered about close to 4,000 women now across the 15 countries, and we've been able to place about 30% of these women in jobs. So that's sort of like a real quick synopsis of what we do at Tech for Dev, and I guess why I'm also here talking around gender inclusive innovation. Can everybody hear me? Just checking.
Yes, we've heard you loud and clear. So thank you so much, Diwura, for being here. We know you're extremely busy, and congratulations for all your success. We haven't caught up in a minute, and I'm so happy about all the work you're doing across Africa. I think what she didn't also mention is that she had the option of being in the US. She's a Yale graduate, by the way, but she chose to come back to Nigeria and do this work domiciled in Nigeria, but of course across Africa and globally. She's also, tell us about your addition to the Forbes Summit, please.
Oh no, so the Forbes Nonprofit Council, it's an invite-only community. I would like to put it that way for nonprofit professionals. They have some certain criteria that they look out for in people that they want to join, the council. And I guess I happen to meet the criteria, is why I'm a council member.
Yeah, amazing. So I see you're a Cisco Global Citizen, finalist for 2022, and then there's also the Ingenie Think Tank Advisory Committee member, the UN Solutions Summit. I mean, I'm among great people. I'm among great women here, of course, doing amazing work. The kind of women who are not who chose to become change and who are actually making a lot of change. So thank you very much, Diwura, and we are happy to have you here. And hope, and because you are the last to arrive, I'm gonna give you a question just about now. So because you are Tech for Dev, basically, which means Tech for Development, just tell us, how can the innovation ecosystem in Africa ensure that women are represented in the development and deployment of emerging technologies? Please, if you can answer that for us.
That is definitely an interesting question, and a question that I always definitely love to pitch in when it comes to that. I would say that how we can have more women being inclusive, right, within the technology ecosystem and driving innovation across Africa are a number of things, and I would just give examples based off of data. We have this program we run called the Tech Girls Drive. The Tech Girls Drive is an advocacy drive that is tailored towards ensuring that we have more girls participate within STEM. And we started the Tech Girls Drive because we were thinking around a catch them young approach. So when we ask women, oh, why were you not interested, or why are you just considering, being in tech right now? Why did you not think of this prior to now? They're like, oh no, it's not something, I thought it was for me when I was younger. If I'd known, I probably would have studied, computer science. And then we thought about ourselves that it would be great to do some level of backward integration, to go back to the high schools, right? And actively start to empower the young girls with the right knowledge to know that opportunities exist in STEM for them. And then every time we go into a school, And I'm giving an example now because we've been able to do this across 15 countries. And every time we walk into a school to speak to young girls in high school, and we ask them, are you aware that you can study a course in STEM? They're like, oh, yes, it's an option. Maybe about 95% of them say, oh, yeah, we know that it's possible for us to be able to do this. Then we ask them, is this something you want to do? And then the 95% drops to about 5%. And then you start to ask yourself, oh, if you know that there's an opportunity for you here, why are you not maximizing that opportunity, right? And then the answers we got literally blew our minds. Number one is that the young girls, and I'm saying this because it's what these young girls see. The young girls are the ones that become women, right? And it's seeing the world through their eyes is how the women now think. It's one, they say that there are like sociocultural like nuances around, whilst you're growing up, your parents telling you like, oh, technology is for the boys, STEM is for the boys, engineering is for the boys, you go study something that is easier. Go study a language course. Even though I don't think a language course is easier, right? You go study a language course or go study accounting, right? But technology is something that is difficult for women to go into. So that already cuts off, the number of people who are actively thinking about becoming women in tech. Number two is that they talk about the place of the role model. They talk about the fact that when they see pictures of people who are championing things within the technology space, they see men, right? And the media is not even helping matters in any way, because just think about the number of technology startup pictures that you see raising funds, and within the picture, the number of women you see there. You probably see a group of 3 guys with their arms crossed together, wearing the shirts of their organization. You barely see women. So for the younger women, they start to think about the fact that this is not a place for me because I do not have representation there. And these are critical issues, that beyond, so moving from the young girls and moving into thinking about how organizations should think, right, is that if we're going to start to sort of have like any level of gender inclusive innovation, women need to be at the heart of that innovation happening. And for that innovation to happen, we need to also understand what is stopping the women from being a part of or from jumping on the bandwagon. And these are the type of examples that exist. So one of the things that we have seen as an organization, for example, with the programs we run, is the role of mentorship. So mentorship helping to sort of like bridge that role modeling gap that has come up, which is the fact that I don't see women who are like me, who are within this space. But trust me, there are they're not, when I say tons, they're not like as many men, as many women as there are men, but there are women. So can we showcase these women to other women for them to see and say, oh, this is, Anne does phenomenal work in her space. I want to be like Anne, and I can have an opportunity to speak to Anne and glean insights from her in terms of the experience she has for me to be able to do better at what I do. That's one. Two, one of the critical things we've also done is actively involve like conversations with like parents, guardians, community leaders, religious leaders, because these people play a very significant role in shaping the mindset of women when it comes to them working within the technology and innovation space. And having those conversations helps them to be able to realize the potential of what these women could become and what type of opportunities are open and available to them if they would consider a career in STEM, as an example. So I would say I'll not take too much of time, because if you leave me, I'm going to be talking till like 5 million years. But I think that I'll just stop here and say that those two major things, the role of mentorship and also involving critical stakeholders in terms of helping to enlighten them about the joys of having women included within the sustainable and innovation space goes a long way in ensuring that we have women not only actively participate but also succeed.
Amazing, amazing. I could listen to you. You know how it is when we start having conversations. You have the passion. The beauty is that you just don't have passion, but you actually are doing the work. That's what's exciting about you. And what I also need to say is that the amazing thing about this kind of conversation and this kind of gathering is that there's East Africa and West Africa, and everybody needs to know that they can learn from Ibironke in Lagos, from Diwura, and they can also learn from Anne, who is based in the UK, and Grace, and they can see these are also women who are young enough, but old enough to know, young enough, they have the vigor, the vitality to do the work, but old enough to know. And actually, they not only have the accolades, but they also have the experience. They didn't get there. Nowadays there's this facade that people think they can rise up within, this microwave situation where people think I can take up Ibironke's portfolio today if I work for 2 days. But the idea is that Ibironke has actually earned everything. Grace has earned everything. Anne has earned everything. Diwura has earned everything. Nobody just gave Diwura 15 countries, Nobody just gave Anne her innovation. Nobody just saw that Grace was actually competent enough to be added onto her portfolio. So these conversations are, global. These conversations are of women who are actually doing something. And I just want to laud you because you people have done it and you're great examples. So the role of mentorship, people think of mentorship that has to be one-on-one. Unfortunately, people just look within their circle. They may not get a good mentor, right? And I always say the best mentorship is not the one that people tell you what to do, but you're actually seeing what is being done, not just what can be done, but what is actually being done. So just a quick question for Ibironke. Ibironke, thanks for coming back. I thought I'd lost you for a minute there. So how can the innovation ecosystem in Africa promote the development of technologies that address healthcare challenges and promote women's health and well-being? This is especially because you're in health financing. Please.
Okay, so basically, how innovation can promote, So women, I keep on wondering how we can come in, and thank you for that question. It's a very interesting question. Over the years, one particular thing that's been troubling women, it's this so-called disease, cancer. I know I've been wondering how we can help as an organization to see how we can make it easier on the women. Every day you lose someone, so until you've lost someone so dearly, you see how we can really play a game here. So what we've said is this particular ailment is very, very cost intensive. Families are unable to manage this. So what we've done as a bank is to partner with a group and provide funding. I think we partnered with Roche, right? That's okay. No woman should die because of funding for cancer. How can we do this? If this illness is detected early, would we be able to save more lives? If funding is available, and then because most times they'll tell you go and bring 5 million for this. How many people can raise 5 million? But if you're able to put down 5 million and then ask the woman to pay over a period. Beyond that, again, that's on the demand side. On the supply side, how many hospitals can provide this equipment, right? I hear for you to get chemotherapy, you can queue. If you go to some hospitals, you can queue. The wait might be as long as 3 to 4 months, or you have to pay through your nose if you don't go out of the country. So can we now help? How many more hospitals can we help acquire equipment that can treat cancer? So that's one thing my team and I have been pushing, and we've been seeing how can we make this possible. We've been trying to look at the CBN. We followed up with the CBN funding to ensure that we provided funding to key hospitals, right, such that they can get equipment, right, that will be able to serve this purpose. Of course, those equipments are very, very expensive, right? All those. But that's what we did as an institution to see how we can reduce the menace. Again, provide funding such that it won't be a death sentence. If you're working or your spouse is working, you can approach the organization. We can get you subsidized loan where you can able to pay for the treatment and then you pay over a period. So this is like kind of innovation we are doing. This is like kind of things we are doing in the health space, right? Such that they are targeted towards women. Another thing we're doing again is we're trying to work on is the IVF, and some women want to go for IVF, some people want to do fibroid operation, right? And then they tell you when they hear the huge cost, they're unable to afford it. And so we're looking again, how can we come in here? Women, we don't want to lose any woman because of fibroid surgery. And then again, we want to ensure every woman has access to quality health care. Okay, so can we provide funding for the hospitals? Can we help reduce the cost of this treatment? So IVF is something we're looking at. And then again, we're looking at funds for fibroid operation, at the same time cancer. So those are things that we're very passionate about, and we're working on various products to solve this. I hope that answers your question. Pauline, are you still there?
Hello? Hello?
Did you hear me?
So I know you come up with the part of the work you do is that you come up with a lot of hackathons, and some of it is maybe you've come across some health tech solutions and some fintech solutions that also just add on to the work that Ibironke does. What can you say about that?
Pauline, could you repeat your question? It wasn't clear who you're addressing to.
Is it from your phone?
Oh, I think Pauline has network issues.
Right. If I may talk on the women healthcare.
Yes,
and
go ahead. I was going to do that. You can go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, women healthcare, and the issue, the innovation that can be done or is being done. I think Ibironke, you have really approached it in a wholesome way. Our aim actually is to make it a notable topic. We're talking about women issues, we're talking about menopause, we're talking about periods, which are early indicators, or it's called actually the sixth signs, the sixth sign that the health specialists look for in women, unlike men, where it's it's touch and go. But for women, we have a sixth sign, which is the periods. So if we remove the taboo around periods, it means we are able to talk about anything that is impacting us before we reach the stage of cancer, before we reach the stage of there are all these signs that we need to look at. So we aim to desensitize people, to remove women health issues from under the table, bring it up above, let people talk about it, let it be talked about in boardrooms, in the villages, to make the conversation easy between fathers and their daughters, between mothers and their daughters, so that any issue that comes up, which, as we all know, if you're stressed up, your periods will be impacted. If you have a sickness, your periods will be impacted. So if the conversation is open between us and our doctors, then we are able to catch these issues pretty early. So reaching the point of innovation in tracking our health, that is something that we all need to look at in the future. Maybe that should be my next challenge. Yeah, I would love to take it up.
That's well noted, and I think that'll be a very nice one. Oh, Pauline, you're back. All right, we're just feeding for you. Okay.
Thank you so much, please. The internet, I'm just juggling from two different backups and all that. Sorry about that. So amazing. I caught a bit of that conversation, and I was thinking about there's something that trended recently. One of the senators in Kenya pulled a stunt where she went to the parliamentary sitting and she had stained, she wore all white and she stained her, her white clothes, and it became quite a debacle. Now, I don't know whether she had planned it with other females in parliament, but the people who outed her were actually women, and they outed her in a way that was not really, as Africans we say they should have covered her up, they should have given her something to cover herself, but it felt like they threw her under the bus. But we're also grateful because we saw something that was really admirable from the Speaker of the House, where he said he actually sent her out of parliament, but he said, "I'm not sending you out because of a natural occurrence such as menstruation, but I'm only sending you out so that you can go and clean up or cover up." So whether it was staged or not, in collusion with other female members, or she did it by herself. So I don't know what you think about that. Especially, I know the Kenyans already have their opinions, but Ibironke, how would it be looked at in Nigeria if maybe a parliamentary a woman parliamentarian went into parliament or the House of Representatives and she was wearing all white and she soiled her clothes? How do you think that would be taken? Because I know Nigeria is very patriarchal, while Kenya is very matriarchal. So how do you think the scenario would have played out in Nigeria? She was trying to talk about period and period poverty and period matters. So how do you think it would have played out in Nigeria?
Honestly, I'm still trying to. I really don't know. I'm just trying to imagine in my head. If I hear you right, you're saying if a woman who is in who is in the top position, right, in leadership position, right, when an all white outfit and realizes her outfit is stained, right, and she's about
She
to make
didn't
a point.
realize. She didn't realize. She actually did it intentionally. She
Oh,
soiled herself, like it was staged.
ah, that'll be interesting. I'm not sure we're right for that because even it's so bad. I mentioned that that's what we're trying to. Our girls here, right? And I like what somebody was saying about advocacy. When they're in their period, some girls don't want to go to school. You heard that I mentioned that we have to say no. You can't stop going to school. So I'm imagining the lady that will now. Honestly, I won't be able to. I'm not sure I can speak to that. I'm not sure how how did the Kenyan react? Because I'm very particular, so I'm wondering.
I said it, but I'm going to. I just want to hear also from Diwura. Diwura, you had the scenario. What do you think would have been the reaction
Unless
in
Dura will be
Nigeria's parliament?
No,
Diwura?
there will definitely be an opera. Definitely be an opera. Things are gonna turn topsy turvy. The entire world will know something happened. And
So I
then
didn't want to go ahead. I didn't want to say that, but I just felt maybe I don't want to be too emotional. That's why I kept it to myself that would be strange. So go ahead, Dibura. I'm listening.
and then people and what would be interesting is that in a place like Nigeria, people are gonna make snacky comments. They're gonna say things, they're gonna even though nobody knows that it was staged, right? So you're gonna have to get feedback like you're going to get the lady's going to get very demeaning feedback, and not just from the people within the parliament, but also in the press. And that is also going to further make like the other women and even younger girls feel like period is something that they shouldn't be proud of, or something that is more like a disease or something you should keep quiet about or sort of like cover up, and not something that you want to be proud of and sort of like envision as a I don't know if the right word to say is a plaque for your femininity, for lack of better words. Yeah, but if that were to happen in Nigeria, there would definitely be an opera.
Wow, quite interesting. We also had very interesting mixed reactions, and maybe I don't know. Maybe that's why the no taboo movement is. I mean, it's just a natural occurrence. Like, where do these people, the babies they demand from women come from? as a result of the reproductive system. And I mean, if there's no seed that has been fertilized, then that means then there'll be menstruation. So I really liked that, and it actually brought a lot of awareness. And funny thing, a lot of sympathizers were actually men, and it forced a conversation among. We talk about Kenyans on Twitter. I mean, they are a formidable force, and of course now even social media. The beauty of Kenya, I can say, is that we may be small in number compared to Nigeria, but our voice on social media is so, it has moved the president's decision, it has moved the DCI, it has moved corporates. You know, when we say we don't like what your influencer is doing and we're not going to buy from you, next day the influencer is fired. That's the voice. Grace, can you attest to that, as you actively live in Kenya?
Absolutely. In fact, the Kenyans on Twitter have made presidents have to fly in to apologize to Kenyans for things.
So it's
Yes,
actually true.
quite a
And
formidable
I'll
force.
say, yeah, and I always say that Nigeria, with your numbers, I mean, what can you not do? And I always feel that that is something that Nigeria can probably learn from Kenya. I mean, the voice of the people. So people started talking about this thing and said, "Oh, I have sisters. I actually never thought about what they went through in primary school while we were poor, and this happened to them." And this was on national TV. And just to let you know, this was a live session on TV. These things are streamed live, the parliamentary sessions. So it really sparked a great debate, and we've seen quite an amazing thing. There's one influencer who's trying to, she did a period party last year. I think she had 2,000 girls involved, and now she's doubled the number. And that occurrence actually made her have the boldness to go to politicians and say, you know what, you need to onboard the people from your counties. A county is like a state, to come to Nairobi and be able to do this. And the state has supported that period party. There's a lot of corporates that have done that, but I only hope it's sustainable. I just hope it's not because of the, you know, sensationalism that happened this year. So the idea is that private sector has a big role to play. So this question, the next question goes to both Ibironke and Grace, because you're both in the private sector. How can the private sector companies contribute to building gender inclusive innovation systems, not just as the office you sit in, but how does your work cut across the whole organization and be part of the organizational culture?
It's a good question. So for me, it would be two-pronged. Yeah, like we had said, we have programs that are focused on staff internally, and we actually do have a strong women agenda that was unveiled this year, including very specific actions and intention to promote women leaders. Yeah. So we actually have a target that by in 2 years, we want at least 25% of our senior leadership to be women. Right now, it's like maybe 5%. Senior leadership across the organization, that is about, how many people are those? I think it's about 100 individuals, but majority is all men. So we have very specific things that we're doing. For example, we started out mentorship circles for women, and this is specifically mentorship in your career progression. You know, so you have women who are coming up and saying, in 5 years, I want to become the head of, say, strategy, and I want help to be able to map out that career path and proper mentorship to help me get to my goal. Yeah, so we're having quite a bit of that going on, and you can see actually just the fact that you say, as an organization, you announce and make it intentional that we have a specific agenda for women. You see, women are waking up and saying, "Oh, I can actually get a mentor. Oh, I can go for this training." So I can see a lot of women now taking up those trainings that initially they were not, but it's because now they're being told, yes, we're encouraging you, let's do this, we want to promote you, we want to support you to grow, we want to create an environment that you feel works for you. So there's the mentorship circles. And what I'm seeing now, how that is playing out in the Innovation Hub and our external programs. Like right now, we are working with startups. And when we were getting the current cohort of startups that we are working with who are solving for different things across the organization, we did an innovation challenge. In this innovation challenge, in total, I'm trying to remember, that was about 1.5 years back. We had about 150 applications that were done. As you can guess, very few were women. Yeah, and then those women dropped off. We had about 5 rounds of selection. So by the time we had our final list, we had no women. Yeah. And so we've been asking ourselves, how do we actually encourage women? Because I have a cohort of about the guys that came from the challenge 6 startups, so no women. And the ones that we onboarded were more intentional than, like we went to look for them and looked for specific solutions and found them, but they were not among the guys who even applied in the first place. So asking ourselves, how can we, even in the Innovation Hub, have programs where can we go and find these women? It looks like they are not looking at social media as much, or whatever they're looking at in social media has nothing to do with innovation challenges. Maybe, I don't know, maybe are we looking at more beauty products or watching Afro cinema? I don't know. But basically, we just need to look for the women where they are. The traditional channels of looking for different innovations just don't work for women. And we're asking ourselves.
Let me say something. I would say if it was Nigeria, they would be saying, how do we now how do we reduce the numbers
of women?
You know, is it not true? Yeah,
well,
I mean,
not necessarily.
we have so many.
You notice I was smiling, Bob. Based on intentionality, we will have improved beyond what you're saying. So I like what she said. In addition to what she said, so I was listening and I was smiling because it happens everywhere. You know, women have limiting beliefs, right? But thanks to what she said, the advent of coaching, you have mentors, you have coaching, and then because of I guess trainings have helped us over time, right? So for us in our place, we are being very intentional, right? We ensure that some particular roles, women must be represented, right? So we go out of it. So we have what we call women development programs. So from we're women advocates. We start training you from. We don't wait till you get a particular level because it's like a pyramid. As the pyramid goes up, women are dropping off. You have to take care of the child. You have to take care of the home. The husband is not supporting again. So why is this always the case? Even in Nigeria, you can see things are changing. And we have about 5-6 women that are MDs in banks, which was never the case before, right? So I guess we're being very intentional now. And organizations have realized because women make more revenue. They do it. They even do the job better, right? In fact, someone said we realized that when we advance loans, women pay back faster, right? They even ensure they pay. So we realized that any job you give a woman, she will definitely multiply. She'll do the job very, very well. But can this woman get there? So how do we do this? So that's where the place of coaching and mentoring comes in. We are very intentional about mentoring in my organization. Not just your official mentor. You have peer groups. You have different people that mentor you as a group, as an individual, both internally and externally. And then again, you know, there are lots of women groups, like the Wimbies and the female women bank. A lot of programs are being run now for women because it's been realized over time. Again, another thing I know is we do job shadowing, right? We let our women go and shadow other women so that you wait until you get to that senior level, right? Before the job is now thrown upon you. So you are not, all the limiting beliefs are removed, right? So you see someone who is maybe probably an executive assistant, she's able to take over another role because she has done the right job shadowing, she's well mentored, and like they say, like we always say, there's no glass ceiling, provided you believe in yourself. So I think that's what we need. A lot of women have limiting beliefs, right? And I think it's because of a lot of our mothers were relegated to the background. But things are changing now. So for us as an organization, they're very intentional. So I guess it's being intentional, being deliberate, right? And putting things in place to do this. So for us, we have a developmental program. It's called Sterling Women Development Program. There's opportunity for job shadowing, and there's a mentorship. And again, we have succession planning, right? While you're on the job, you already have people that can succeed, and you'll train them. There are lots of developmental programs that we put in place, interventions to prepare you for that role. It's not just thrown on you. Because what Grace said is very, very true. However, I guess because we are intentional about it, we've been able to work on it. And so it's improving gradually. Thank you.
Yes,
amazing. So Grace, I think I can help solve some of your problems. At Become Change, we actually we have a big database. Sorry,
yes,
Grace, we can help solve that problem. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm saying there's something else I wanted to add on.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, and was just we, like, for example, part of what we wanted to do to address that issue, I was talking about just looking at women-led startups and having them as part of our um, corporate innovation program. Is we actually want to do a specific cohort just for women and see how that cohort performs. And then in that cohort, we will offer them with training. And just like Ibironke is saying, the lack of confidence and limiting beliefs, I find that is also, it really helps when you do proper mentorship. So like we can have some specific mentorship programs that are targeted for women in that cohort, and then go all the way into graduating them and their solutions. So that's something, a plan that we have for this year, later on this year. And I am looking forward to really that cohort. I'm sure a lot of good things will come out of it, but it has come to a place where now we have to be that intentional, that if the women are not coming, we are going for them wherever they are. Yeah.
So I like that, and as I was saying, that there's a way we can help you with that, because we have a database of serious, not just database, but doers in that space. Innovators. So we have women, so we can actually do some recommendations for you. So we'll talk about that later. So Anne, tell us about some of the very unique challenges for women in STEM and how we can actually solve some of those problems to just encourage more women in STEM and of course in the innovation space.
Hey, thanks, Pauline. I think one of the challenges that has been mentioned by Diwara is getting women to believe, to know that they can actually go for these STEM subjects. In my training, we had an opportunity of 5 people to do, an IT course fully paid by Diageo. And I can tell you, I was the only woman out of the 4. I mean, out of the 5, I was the only woman who took IT. Everyone else, all the other girls took accounting. So it stems from, lack of people we can look up to, lack of that belief that actually we can learn, we can study these subjects. They're not any more harder than medicine. They're not any more harder than, what do we say, English or art. So if we nurture girls from that young age, we'll be able to, capture them and take them through the course. If we show them, if we showcase people who have gone through the courses, people who have been successful, I believe we can address that challenge. The next challenge that, going through my training, I'm just giving you like a life story. Going through the training, yes, you have got these companies that are sponsoring, but they probably just take the tuition. Who's taking care of the other small issues? The boys will just need a place to lie down. That's it. As girls, we need much more than that. Yeah, we have our own special needs that that need to be addressed. If it's just tuition that has been paid, then it means instead of going to class to concentrate on my studies, I'm actually taking extra courses or extra work to meet my special needs. So as private sector or even public sector looking to sponsor women to study STEM, can you look at it wholesomely? Can we not assume that what applies to a boy will apply to a girl? Look at it wholesomely, talk to the girls, see what are the requirements they have. When it comes to work, it's the same. I can tell you, in every organization I have worked, I am one of the boys because it's one against maybe 10 boys in the department. So it's always the same story. We study the STEM courses, we study sciences, we study maths, but the workforce, maybe joining the workforce is hard. We don't have the courage. We've not seen anyone else do it, so we don't have someone to look up to. It really helps when you know, when there's a light ahead of you. Yeah, it's not just darkness and you have to create the light yourself. We're not all so courageous to do it for ourselves. So can we showcase the trailblazers so that girls know that they can do it? Someone else has done it, so we can also do it. Talk about promotions. Yeah, as a woman, we are we have so many challenges in the workplace. Yeah, we're talking about unspoken caregiving services. So whilst you find a man can sit down and code all night, you cannot afford that. You have maybe your family to look after. You're probably caring for your parents or your children. So these are unspoken challenges that prevent women from giving their 100% at work. So if we are being evaluated on the same scale as men, then we're losing out on women who could actually be great leaders. As Ibironke has said, it's proven that women are great leaders, and they actually end up bringing in more for the organization as leaders. So if we address changes uniquely to women in a unique way, not sieving them with the same sieve that we're using for men, then we'll actually be able to bring out the best in them, to help them actualize their potential as innovators, as leaders, as entrepreneurs.
Thanks so much for that, and especially because I know there is one thing that affects all of us, and that's why personally I'm a proponent for equity versus equality, because equity means that a woman needs to be given what she needs to actually thrive, and that's why I loved some of the things that Ibironke and Sterling are doing in actually just giving even paternity leave, and having a crash and giving maybe flexi hours and all that. That is amazing, because like you said, these things are not easy for women, because it's a huge responsibility, because families have to go on. I mean, families are a big part of us, and we know that we cannot function well if our families are not functioning well. So every other time I could not use my office, because the boys will keep on coming to bang, and as I'm where I am now, I have to keep on checking everywhere because they're on holiday. So I think I would just like to hear from all of us, because I know we have family. um, do you feel you have enough support, not just at the workplace, but in terms of your support systems at home? Because I have a friend who was also complaining that, yes, the husband works at a place where he got paternity leave, but she did not see him for most of the paternity leave. So how have you managed to cope and be on top of your career and your game, just at a personal level? I think we can start with Diwura.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pauline. I think I would start by saying one of my friends once said something. She said that there is no award that there's actually no award for the world's best mom or for the world's best wife. And I found that very interesting, because, and she was making, she made that as a reference point when we were having a conversation within the organization, that Step for Them. She came for one of our open days, and she had mentioned that. And I gave it a deep thought, actually. There is no award such as world's best mom or world's best wife, right? A lot of times, women, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, right? You're like, oh, I don't want to take help, right? Take every help that I tell anybody anywhere. Take any help you can get. If you can't afford a nanny, if your mother-in-law says she wants to come and help you, take the help. If your mom says she wants to come and help you, take the help. If your niece or cousin says they want to come and spend 4 weeks out of the holiday with you, and you know that person has capability to support you with childcare, take the help. Anywhere the help, or whatever form or shape that the help comes in, we need to be able to take the help. Because, and what that statement around not award for the world's best mom or wife means is that at the end of the day, right, nobody's going to keep tabs and be saying, oh, were you there every morning when you had to give your son a bath? Tick, yes. Oh, were you the one that fed him every night before he went to bed? Like, there's nobody keeping that tabs, right? You get to decide those things on your own terms. It doesn't make you a bad mom or a bad wife if you decide to take the help that exists. And I definitely understand, like I said earlier, that there are certain constraints, right? Not everybody has the money to hire maybe a nanny or a housekeeper. So I won't say hire a nanny or housekeeper is the way to solve your problems, right? I would say wherever the help exists, within your family, within your friends' network, anywhere the help exists, take the help. That's number one. Number two is that for the people that have the privilege to unpick their spouses, right? I would say that, and I know that this is a very sensitive topic, so I try to tread on like really carefully when I say it. I'm like, in Nigerian lingo, right? I'll say shine your eyes, right? And shine your eyes literally means, I mean, for Grace and Anne, is literally keep your eyes open. Try as much as possible whilst you're trying to make a decision to be sure that whoever it is that you're going on the journey with is somebody that can support your dreams. If you are somebody that has big dreams, you'll be doing yourself a disservice if you have big dreams and you already know that the person that you want to be with for the rest of your life might not necessarily be able to support you, not because it's deliberate, right? So again, those are considerations that people need to make. I would say, look for one, take any help you can get. Two, as much as is possible, right? Take the support of your spouse as well, which is like ensure that as you're making decisions, right, you're able to you carry your spouse along in a way that they can support you as much as they can. I think I'll rest my case there.
I think you said a lot, and it's true, especially that one of shining your eye. But now, if you're already inside,
That's the tricky part.
sometimes you could get the indicator that you have the support, then you get inside, and the story is different. So,
Oh, did we lose Pauline?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we seem to have lost her. Yeah.
So I mean, like this, I think I might just chime in and maybe and Grace. I mean, if anybody else can chime in, because I just think that sometimes these are very sensitive topics. Like Pauline was saying, is what if then you get inside? Then what do you do at that point in time? Those are very difficult conversations to have, right? I would just, at most, I personally would tell people, I would just say, as much as you can have the conversations, to the best of your ability. That's what I get to say. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think it does help to have people you can talk to and understand their challenges, how they have handled these challenges. Yeah, I can talk about my situation. I'm in a place where nobody is like me. I don't have those aunties and uncles or cousins who will offer to come and help. No. So it's been a big challenge for me here, actually. We have childminders who charge a lot more than you could ever pay in school fees. So
Wow.
actually, what I did is find my own unique time to work. Yeah, I have always been a night owl. Maybe as a coder, learning from from my coding days, I've always been a night owl. So it's about managing your time to the T. There's no minute to waste. So getting the kids, having such a tight routine so that I have my energy and time at the end of the day to focus on creating my apps, creating my products, and reaching out to the suppliers or to the marketing people, whatever that it is that I need. But yeah, it has called for a lot of innovation in the way I do business, how I do life. I work the full day, come home, have the kids, do homework, put them to bed, and still afford to put in 4-5 hours per night into the work that really feeds my soul. So yeah, we can shine our eyes, obviously, for the younger people who are in this forum, who are listening to the forum. Open your eyes. Yeah, make wise decisions, get the help where you can, or as much as you can. But if all else doesn't work, plan yourself so well. We say jipange. Yeah, plan yourself really well.
Sorry, I wanted to chip in one more thing, and maybe this is not necessarily a comment, and maybe as Grace and Ibironke also speak, I think that it would be nice to speak to the role of remote work in like supporting women with like the other
Okay,
responsibilities that they have.
so that was where I was going to come in, and thank you for that. You brought it up for me. So the truth of the matter is, everybody needs a support system, right? And I would like to thank Sterling Bank for this. So for me, I always need a support system. Like, I have a nanny. I don't unfortunately, I feel you. I understand what you're saying. And when you have to pay an arm and a leg for childcare, I know how it is. It's not so bad in Nigeria, but it's getting the right person. And so I had a nanny that had stayed for like 3 years, and she was gonna go. And it was a major problem getting a replacement. But thanks to remote work, flexible work, right? It was only in the evenings I had issues because my son goes for after school care. I had to close early. Well, thanks to COVID and then the new way of working, I don't have to go to work every day. So it was just those hours when he was out of school that I needed to worry who's going to stay with him. So I think for things are better now. When in the last 10, 15 years, it wasn't this easy, right? We have workplace now allowing people to bring your kids. I remember the other day I went to Microsoft. Even the tech companies, they have support systems. You have questions. I went to Microsoft, Stanchart. A lot of organizations have where you can put the kids, right? They even allow the moms to do flexible work. You don't have to go to work in every day. You can work remote. So there's a lot of support, like I said, but we just need more advocacy. And I think it's just to encourage women to stay, to continue their stay in the workplace, because a lot of women drop out, like I said earlier, along the line. When the pyramid goes, they start dropping out. They're unable to cope, especially when you have a sick child. But beyond that, I think everybody needs a support system. You need, like Anne said, you need to plan. You need to sit down, organize, and know what works for you, right? If you have to go the way of childcare, if you have to get a nanny, or you have to get a family member close by, or a friend of ours, you move closer to where you can get help, right? Ensure you live close to where you have family support. You can't do it on your own. Trust me, right? And then getting our spouses involved is very, very key. So like Pauline said, it's not just about giving them a, they must be involved. And so this is where the discussion comes in. And because unfortunately for us, everybody has to work now. The bills are very, very high. So gone are the days where the man says, stay at home and take care of the child. The man wants you to work. So I'm sure he'll go out of the way to support. So I think it's just about planning and then having a conversation. But honestly, and that's why I work I keep on thanking Sterling. It's a great place to work. The support is enormous, especially for female staff. Yeah, you have flexible work. You can always plan your day. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. I hope I was able to answer your question. I hope I was able to answer the question. Right. Thank you.
Yes, you've done very well. Grace, did you say something?
Not yet. I was gonna go next. So for me, I really, what's that word Deborah used? Shine your light.
Shine your
Shine your
eyes.
eyes. I really shone them, and I'm so happy I got someone who really supports my career. And I find that he supports not only my career growth, but pushes me to grow, just the way Ibironke was saying. He's the one who pushed me to do my master's he keeps stretching and saying, you're too comfortable now. Maybe you should work on next level of doing ABCD. So that's really good pressure, which means also he's willing to support the seasons, because there are seasons that you find you're having to work a bit late, maybe to meet some specific targets, or there's some crisis at work that, of course, it means that if you're working late, then he has to come home earlier to support, at least spend time with the children and all that. And he does that willingly. So I find we have some really good understanding throughout the busy seasons and the ones that we are not so busy. And then also I have a really good nanny as well, who has been with me now for about the 6 years. So she's really like a mother to my children. And so that really helps even when you're traveling out of the country, your kids are okay, your kids are safe. Then the other thing I just wanted to add is, especially in the busy seasons, it's very easy to just not spend time with your children, and it can be extended for long, and then you get used to it, and then it becomes your new normal. Yeah. So what I've found is important is for me to decide for myself the things, the things that I cannot do without. Like, for example, every day there's an activity that I do with the children, and no matter what happens, we have to do it. Just takes about 1 hour, but I give myself enough pressure to say, at the minimum, even in very busy season, this 1 hour that we do this particular activity, I have to make time and do it. So just giving yourself that pressure and determining what are those minimum irreducible requirements for yourself, so that you actually maintain a healthy relationship with your children despite a busy lifestyle. So I'll just mention those 3 items, Pauline.
Okay. Thank you very much. Because,
sorry, if I may add something, I think we have to acknowledge Starling Bank, because as Ibironke said, they have so many support systems for women. They have creche, they have flexible work. You mentioned, I might be imagining, but you might have mentioned about mental health. So if organizations are providing this, we have to take them, grab them, and make use of them. I wanted to mention that as people, as women, we also have to take care of ourselves. They tell us, whenever we travel, they tell us, first put on your oxygen mask. Yeah, put on your oxygen mask first before you take care of anybody else, which is something we often neglect as women, because we're nurturing. We want to take care of everybody else before we take care of ourselves. So it does help to take care of our physical health, mental health, and then we'll be able to take care of others and even make our dreams come true. Yep.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I feel like I should also chime in on this. I remember I was invited for some conversations last month on Women's Month. And I said, one of the things I keep saying is that it doesn't have to be a case of either or, because now there's this cliche that if you have to be on top, then you're either single or divorced or separated, right? Especially in Africa. So I feel like it's important, and especially for some of us who've been able to, of course, I know in Nigeria we say this life no balance, right? Basically, it's not possible for everything to work at the same time. But I think just understanding the seasons, especially when you have younger children, and just understanding that you may drop some balls, or just be what's it called? Be patient and just be lenient to yourself. I believe in work-life integration, because work-life balance is actually a myth. We grew up just being told work-life balance. You can't balance this thing. The world is dynamic, and especially as you move up the corporate ladder, it becomes, you cannot balance, because if there's a problem to be solved at midnight, you may need to solve the problem at midnight. So let me give you a personal story. So exactly 2 years ago, around this time, actually it's almost 5, my husband was at the airport on his way. He was going to another state, right? And we just called and said, I'm the internet. And
We can hear you,
I'm
Polly.
back.
You're
Can
loud
hear
and
me,
clear.
yeah. So yeah, so and he was just about to check in. It was he was going to queue up, and we had just spoken very well. And our youngest decided to check in at that time. Can you imagine? I just dropped the call, and I just stood up, and my water broke. Right? My husband had just said bye. Speak to you in 1 hour. He was going to another state. I'll tell you when I land on the other side. And the water broke. So I had to quickly call him. Luckily, he always picks up. And I told him, you know what, the water broke. He's like, what do you mean? The baby is supposed to come in another 2 weeks. Do you know he had to turn around and he was almost at the counter to check in? And he actually got to the hospital before I did because I had to pack my bag. I mean, I still had some things to do. So as much as we speak about, and he was there, and what happens that every time our children are being born, we pack 2 bags. As I pack one bag for myself, he packs the bag. He's with me in the what do you call it, the delivery room and all through. So we always have a suite that has 2 beds, and that's the way it is. So I feel like it's also important for us to show that there are men that are like that, as strong as they are. I know all of you have met my husband, apart from Anne, and he's a strong man and he's as Nigerian as they come. He's as masculine as they come. But it does not take away from him to be supportive to the extent of being with me through the childbirth process and being there and canceling his work and calling his workplace and saying, I can't go because my wife is in labor. So I think we need to do better in showing that you don't have to be in an unhappy marriage in a marriage where they're now saying that being taken for granted is almost acceptable. Like, what's your relationship status? We are just there. We are raising children. You can have your career. You can raise up a career and still have a healthy family. Things won't balance, but you can integrate as much as you can, right? So I feel that part of mentorship is not just about how to go up the the corporate ladder, but how you can actually understand your seasons. Take a career break if you need to for a year or two, or take up as much help as you can if you can, you know. So I think it's very important to have that cocktail of conversations, not just, yeah, this is what you do, this, because we're telling people and they desire to go up the corporate ladder, but many people believe it's a case of either or. I don't know what you feel about that, right? Because you find that okay, that person is senior or is a politician, then they probably are divorced. So I think those conversations in mentorship need to just talk about that it's possible and it's okay. And of course, you need to shine your eye, right? And if you're a global citizen like me, you can shine your way out of your country, and it's
You
okay.
you shone too bright.
Yeah,
I'm saying you
yeah.
shone your eyes
So
too
I
bright
think,
until they were seen out of the country.
yeah, or out of the continent. It doesn't matter because, as you said, there's no point of looking within your village if there's nobody that will help. We don't want,
Yeah.
they say that too many dreams are killed at the village. It's not just burials that happen at the village, but some of these dreams are killed at the village. And village not being rural, but actually just, if you just look within your small scope. So that was really, really interesting. So
Oops, I think we lost Pauline again.
the family, many women feel like maybe family sets them back. Just access to financing. I mean, I'm not talking about bank, the traditional financing mechanisms, but what is the corporate sector doing, especially through partnerships? I know Diwura has great partnerships. I won't mention them, but she has great partnerships that have enabled her to do her work. And if you did not have the technical skills to actually build your app, it would have meant that you spent money for it. Where would you have gotten your money? Grace, at KQ, other than just the work that you do at innovation, are you extending finance, and not just finance in terms of monetary, but any other kind of support? I think we can talk about that right now. Where do we start? Just anybody can start. Ibironke, maybe let's start with you in terms of finance.
So, Polly, when you say finance, finance is broad. What do you mean by finance? Can you take that again?
Yeah, so as a private sector company, how are you helping the issue of women access to finance? Not just as a bank, right? Not the traditional way that, Sterling Bank gives easy loans, but are there other innovative ways of access to finance or other resources for women?
Oh yeah, sure. Oh, okay. So beyond capacity building, so what we do a lot is training on finance, beyond provide funding. So what we do, so like during the International Women's Day was to try and see how we could train female entrepreneurs, right, across the top sectors on how they could access finance, access funding, right? And what we try to do is by letting them know you don't even have to go to a bank. You could do through crowdfunding, right? You could get family and friends, right? Raise funds through crowdfunding and see how you can raise funds, no matter how little, and start that project. Not every project requires loan to start because you have to really try your hand so that you don't burn your fingers. So we what we do basically is to train and see how we can improve the knowledge across key sectors, like I said. And then again, another thing we do is we have a product, even beyond the bank. I trust which is possible to talk to young women and young women I mentor. They have friends, have group, have something like have an investment club, right? Where 5, 6 women can gather together to buy something. You can buy land, you can invest, right? You can go as much as doing monthly contribution. I don't know, I did that years ago when I just started working with my friends, right? Where we all contribute a particular amount of money. You take this so that we're able to have access to bulk funds, right? There are lots of cooperatives there you can join. There are lots of investment club. There are lots of, you can start investment opportunities, right? Don't just, as a woman, you should be intentional about investments. I know, like I learned something that women, we know how, because of our nature, we're kind of fruitful. Whatever we put our hands in, it doubles up normally, right? So even in the organization, we ensure that we provide funds to women. I particularly, because I'm passionate, I have discounted pricing for women, right? I ensure, oh, okay. So again, so when I see opportunity, I say, oh, I think that looks like a good investment. That looks like a good opportunity, right? So you see us doing a lot of advisory services, right? So you can use hire purchase, you can buy something and pay over a period. So you can go to that company, okay, you know what, can we have flex? Do you have after sales service? Can I pay a premium and pay for this equipment over a period? And so those are various ways you can have access to finance. You don't have to go the traditional way of borrowing, right? You can pay over a period, you can gather as a group, you can raise funds through your group, your alumni, your secondary school mates. You know, there are various ways you can raise and again, there's something called venture capital. You have angel funds. There are lots of ways we can raise money, to be honest. It's just about having the right, like I say, look for a problem, solve a problem, and be rest assured funding will come out. As long as you are rendering value, as long as you are providing value, funding will not be a problem. As long as you are solving a problem, funding will not be a problem. The problem, funding becomes a problem when value is not created, when you're not able to solve a problem. But if you're able to solve a problem, you'll be rest assured finance will not be a challenge. I think I'll allow others to speak to that effect too. Thank you.
Yep. All right. And for us, also there's the 2 products that we're building right now. One is a savings wallet, and we know women are very good at saving. Here in Kenya, we call them chamas. These are like little women groups that usually women come together and they contribute X amount per month and they put it together. They do a merry-go-round. Yeah, so but basically doing the same for flights, yeah, whereby you're able to lock in your price for a holiday, maybe for your well-being, or you just want to go and have fun and you're able to pay slowly over, say, like 6 months or 1 year. And then by a certain cut-off date, you have secured your holiday. Yeah, so that's a savings wallet, and also the opposite of it, which is we call it a buy now, pay later. Really, it's a loan. So working with third-party suppliers who would give especially women in business loans. Like you are a trader, you want to go to China to buy something, you need 1 million shillings right now, but you will pay later over the next 3 months. So those are 2 different products that we are looking at to roll out in the course of the year, as well as what Ibironke was talking about, opening up access to networks for investors, because that has already been identified as a gap for women and accessing funds, is that women's networks are not as good as men's networks. You know, men's have their boys clubs and whatever else they do that gives them good networks to different kinds of people that women don't have. So really creating those networks for women where they can interact with people who fund and investors and other sources of funding. Thanks, Pauline.
Diwura, please tell us how you've been able to get some of the amazing partnerships that you have.
Okay, I think I'll take a slightly different approach from what, not too different from what Iberonka and Grace has taken. I think I will talk about the process, because the end result is as good as the process, right? Whilst you're trying to raise funds. So I think I will start out by saying, I know that Iberonka made mention of something. She said, solve the problem. And I think that that's the first part of the journey, right? I would say solve a problem, have a product, create value, have a pilot, something tangible, something that people can make reference to is the first starting point before in the journey of raising funds. I would say that after you've solved a problem, or whilst you've solved the problem and you have a product or a pilot that is helping you create value, I would say the next step will be to showcase. Tell your story. Showcase. And women, we are perpetual second guessers. It's like a thing. Like we're going to think about something that you've done that is great. A guy has not even done a quarter of the great thing you've done. They are all over social media, on LinkedIn, everywhere, saying they've done X, Y, they've done this, they're about to take over the world and the continent. But women, we're going to think about it like 5 billion times. Is it good enough? What will people think about it? Somebody else done something like this before. I would say it is showcasing what you've done is as important as you doing it. Because if you don't showcase, if you don't tell your story, if you don't show people or show the world what you've got, nobody's going to know. And people not knowing is also so at the point when you're then trying to raise funds, then people are asking you questions. Oh, what have you really done? Oh, where is your product being used? Who are the customers? But if you add reference points where you are told, you don't need to spend a lot of money. There's LinkedIn, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's social media, which is the magic of technology that allows people who are not within even your space, people that are not within the same networks as you have, right, are able to get a glimpse of what it is that you have to offer. Because at the point where you want to raise funds or any form of financing, the questions people are going to be asking you, tied to the first two things I've said, have you solved a problem? Have you created value? Do you have a product? And then, who knows about the product it is that you have? Who are the people using it? Who can validate that this product exists? Case in point is that for a lot of people who are familiar with like the VC, that's the venture capital and the PE, private equity space, before anybody gives you any money, any capital, they are going to go find people who know you. And they're going to ask them questions and say, oh, can you vouch for this person? Can you ascertain this person is not lying that they said, oh, they have 50,000 customers? They're going to be asking people a lot of questions. And if you've not shared what you have, then there's nobody that is available to validate that information. They might be able to attest to your character as a person, but they might not be able to attest to the quality of what you have to offer. And I think that, and I think I'll just stop there, not to overtalk, right? I would say that solve a problem, tell your story, then look for the funding. And in looking for the funding, it will be joining the right communities, joining the right groups. I'm not against women groups. Women groups are great. But I don't know who just mentioned now that the men have their cliques and their clubs. If it were me, I would find my way there. Like the ones that are not male exclusive, that have a little bit of women there, I will find my way there. Because if that's where the funds are, I want to be in the center of that. But that still doesn't change the fact that there are women-focused funds that are available to just women that we can access. And I will rest my case there. Thank you.
I really love what you said, Diura. I really love what you said, because I find that, like you said, we second guess ourselves a lot, and you sometimes feel, I don't know if any of us has suffered also imposter syndrome. You feel like, am I bragging? Am I too much? Is this even unique? You know, those kind of questions. I'm sure all of us, if you're where you are, you have asked yourself those questions. And the most important thing I think Diura has said is that it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you when it comes to financing. It's about who actually knows you, because I keep saying there's no shortage of finance in this world. Like, there's so much money. I remember a time when I was doing grant management and I had to keep on returning money because I could not bring myself to just giving it for the sake of giving, and it really made me so sad. The same thing, just touching on what Grace said. How many people even know that there's an innovation hub at Kenya Airways? Or maybe they feel it's too much, like, am I good enough to get into that innovation hub? So I feel like we need to be more advocates as women for other women, that when you know something, make sure another 10 or 100 women know, or 1,000, depending on your network. You get? They say each one reach one, but I think we're at a place where we can say each one reach 1,000 every other day, not just in your lifetime. So because we know where some of these things are. Unfortunately, like for me, I found that I may know where the funds are, but getting people to actually level up to get access to that kind of money is also a problem. Like we've kept on discussing, there's too many hindrances to it. So I feel like we need to be more advocates for women, and maybe sometimes it does some work of validating someone that your product is actually good enough at this point in time to access this or that other opportunity, right? Or even just having more men become champions for women, because we're talking about gender equality. If the men are the gatekeepers for these funds, then let them be champions for women. Like, women, come and get this. As Ibi Ronke, you're a gatekeeper for health financing. Ask around other women in financing who else can be part of my pool, that if I'm looking for someone. Grace, you had a problem of people actually joining your programs. Ask us, do you know anybody that fits this program? Share it out. This is the opportunity that I have as a gatekeeper. Do you know people that can fit this bill to join the innovation hub? And the same thing for you. And Diura too. Diura should be able to say, oh, we have partners, but you need to level up to this kind of level for you to actually be looked at by our partners. How are you sharing your opportunities with other people? Because unfortunately, I keep saying the sky is too large for all of us, and the water, but I know that there are people who have actually been shown where there's an African saying we say in my language, that you don't show everyone where you get your water from, because some people may poison it. How do we get over those kind of fears, that if I show people, they won't necessarily? Or how do you use your EQ to actually know to what extent to share what you need to share? Because we need to share. There's no point of money being returned back to the funder. It's really sad. There's no shortage of funding at all. But like you said, it's about capacity development and actually making sure that people are ready, because you also don't want to embarrass yourself when you take half-baked people to actually, uh, to some of your networks. So I think the issue of policy, I keep saying that we have such great policies as Africans, but as gatekeepers, how are we ensuring that the policies are actually being implemented, especially private sector that most of us are playing in? How are we ensuring that the policies are actually being implemented to actually help people? How are we doing that? And across your work in Africa and beyond, what has been your experience with policy? Is it just a nice policy sitting on the shelf, or is it actually impacting?
Thanks, Pauline. So I'm not an expert on policy, but I can tell you for sure we have had policies that sit on the shelf, nobody addressing them because nobody is feeling the pinch of the policies not being applied right. In my work through the No More Taboo campaign, we have, in a span of 3 years, managed to change the menstrual hygiene campaign or policies here in Jersey. It's a really small island, but this is where you bring all your money. So I would say it's small but not small. So we did not have any policy that took care of women when they are on their periods, when they have so much pain you have to stay home for 3-4 days. We didn't have a policy taking care of women when they're going through heat flashes because you're going through menopause. But through our raising our voices as a small group of women, we've said we need these issues addressed. We need these issues addressed, and being on their faces all the time. So we were successful in getting government to listen to us, and also start providing period products for girls. So actually, initially we had period products for girls, and now we have the products in every public toilet, in the library. So it's a very small group of people working, but we can actually make a change. So I would say it's picking a topic that you want to deal with in a policy. Is it about education? Is it about having more girls funded to do STEM subjects? Whatever it is that we pick that is addressing our issues as women, as girls, and whatever keeps us from participating in the economy, if we pick it and follow it, to the end, is if about providing funding, we can actually make a change, however small we may be, because we know we are impacting not just ourselves and our daughters, but a whole workforce that Pauline said could provide over 3 billion USD in the economy if our issues are addressed. So we can actually make policy changes if we are persistent.
Amazing, amazing. So we have Maurice. Maurice has just joined us. Hi, Maurice. How are you?
I'm fine, Pauline, and good evening from Nigeria, everyone. Apologies that I joined quite late, but I really was enjoying what I was hearing. So I'm very pleased to be here. Do you have particular questions for me or perspectives that you want me to address?
Yes, please. So the issue is on affirmative action for women in your space, and especially in regards to policy and policy implementation on issues of gender and gender, especially in the roles you play both as CEO of ABC Health in the philanthropy space and also at the NESG.
All right. So talking specifically to women and gender um, matters. The first thing that comes to mind and that I would really like to share is the awareness and the opportunities that are out there. And I recall that I mentioned this in our pre discussion yesterday, in the sense that we are at a more advantage of what the world is looking out for. This era is the era, I mean, it's the first of its kind where women are particularly being sought after for leadership. And so, without awareness, there's still a tendency that we think we're living in the past, and we're not, kind of applying the right level of audacity or boldness to really take those positions. And so, for me, I will say awareness, awareness, awareness. Be audacious when the opportunity comes for leadership. Don't ignore it. I don't think it's for the bigger boys. It's for you, and we all need all this expectant that more responsible organizations look in that direction. So, in terms of gender equality, in terms of inclusivity, um, we're being expected to participate more. So imagine that in some of these organizations, the roles are there, but there aren't women that are bold enough, to apply for these roles. And that will happen if women are not being audacious enough. So for me, that's really quite big on the front burner, and it will be my first line of conversation to all of the women out there. The second one in the health space really is just to realize and to advocate for priority and not necessarily equality. Again, as we know, the biological composition of women is really quite different from men. There's no doubt about it, but it doesn't seem that women themselves are voicing out enough for that realization and for the world to understand that. I mean, the previous speaker spoke about period poverty. It's we hardly it's a taboo in most places in Africa to talk about these things. But these are realities. These are things that women go through on a monthly basis. So again, I do really think that we ourselves needs to be more vocal. We need to be more engaging. We need to call a spade a spade, and so that the other genders can actually really understand what our issues are and be part of solving the problem for us. Because the problem shared really is the problem half solved. But when amongst women themselves, we're not really even free enough to talk about it. Women don't even discuss these things amongst women, not to talk about where men are. So I think we should realize what we're missing out on, what we're losing by not really engaging on some of these topics, and really just try harder to talk about them. It really just falls into the health space as well, for involvement, for engagement, and for also role taking. Women should learn to appreciate one another, know what our strengths are. I mean, talk about gynecology space, for instance. So we have more men there than women. You begin to wonder, is it possible for a gender that can never experience what a woman experiences to be able to thrive more than it's the norm. And so I think we need to take more ownership. We need to be more audacious. We need to be more inclusive ourselves. We need to trust one another more to recommend one another for those kind of roles and results. I'll leave it there for now. Over.
You actually said it, that we can't create awareness without being vocal, right? So I think, like you said, I think we just need to be each other's support system and actually affirm each other and tell each other that maybe this is not too much. It's okay. You can say this, or you can do this, or you can talk about this. And actually, taboo is what we create taboo. We are the ones who have created things to be taboo in our minds. Nothing really is taboo in this world. It just depends on how you articulate what you're saying. There's no topic that is too difficult. It's the how you actually discuss it. I didn't realize just how much time has gone by, and I feel like we probably need to, just be winding up on this. And I think at this point, we can just do maybe a 1 minute or 2 minutes max, so that we can just close. Close. Yeah. Yeah. So what are you looking forward to see in Africa, especially in regards to this conversation? Because actually I've just seen it's quite very simple. We just need to start basically even just at the home front and with each other, just affirming each other and putting ourselves out there. So let me start with Anne. 2 minutes, just wind up everything. Your closing remarks.
Yeah, right. So yeah, so what has come up for me in the whole conversation is a lot of mentorship, and providing connectivity for women to thrive in innovation, for women to thrive in STEM. And I think this is a good start if we keep the conversation going and actually action on the issues, the things that have come up. So a lot of mentorship for me.
Okay, thank you. Grace?
All right, thanks, Pauline, for the opportunity to participate in the discussion. It's actually been quite insightful. And also I have new friends. Yeah, but the only thing that I think we didn't have enough time to talk about is the agenda, the women agenda and in women inclusion. We need male allies that drive that conversation as well. So I think that's really important, even if you're doing it within the organization. You need to have the male voices that are speaking for women. Yeah, the male voices that are supporting women alongside the female voices that are advocating for women. So I think that's really important, even as we continue to create more space for women at the table, And as we continue to even create tables where women can sit, let's just remember that we need those allies who are men that will help us to reinforce that narrative. Thank you.
Diwura.
Okay, thank you very much, Pauline, and thanks to everyone. I learned so much today. I would say last words from me. Just recapping everything that I've heard today and I sort of like engaged on. It's pretty much two words, which is as women leaning. Like I just thought about it again as I heard everybody speak today. Is that there are actually no problems unique to anybody. Like there are no women in quote problems that are unique to Diwura or Ibironke or Pauline or Anne or Grace. Like, there's nothing that and you're going through that someone else hasn't essentially gone through before, and that you can sort of like get feedback on or get advice rather on in terms of helping you to grow. So I would say let's lean in as women. Let's be each other's support system. Let's speak up. For you speaking up, we would find the help that we need.
Thank you, Diwura. I think one thing I took from your conversation is that let's not try to be super, super women, you know, and it's actually not weakness to say when you need help. That's really amazing. That's really amazing. Ibironke.
Thank you so much, Pauline, and everyone here. Honestly, really gleaned a lot. Even that, like women, I've been trying to multitask, have some deadlines I'm keeping up. But then I've really learned a lot. It's been a very fruitful discussion. One thing I know I want us to do as women is to be more self-aware, right? You know, I keep on telling like if I had to advise my younger self, what would I tell my younger self? Is being self-aware. A lot of women are not self-aware. And when you're not self-aware, you're not even aware of your environment, talk less of the opportunities available around you, right? And even if the opportunities are available, you won't know how best to harness them because you're not self. So for me, it's about like Son said, networking. I am happy when I heard what Grace said about what Kenya Airways is doing in terms of tickets, and I'm like, oh, good. So Grace is the next plug. At least I know that if I have to travel, I start. You know, it's an yes. When we're having conversations, we realize that oh, there's so many things we need to do. And Maury said something again too that the opportunity is there for us as female leaders, but I don't know. Like I said, a lot of us have limiting beliefs that's not allowing us to take the opportunities available around, and it's because we are not self-aware. So one thing that I know we should follow up today is to be self-aware. When you're self-aware, you're able to harness the opportunity, you're able to unlearn, relearn, you're able to do so many other things, right? So that's it for me. Thank you so much for having me. Nice being with you all. Thank you.
So Maurice, you're next, and because we didn't have you for most of the time, please you can have some extra time. Just um, tell us.
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. I was saying thank you, Pauline, and thanks to all of the panelists and the discussants for the incredible conversations that we've had today. Again, to all of the women, let's keep learning, um, learning and learning, because the world is really complex, and there's something to learn every day. The second one that I will end with is we should not undermine technology. As women, there's a tendency to kind of just shy around it or sweep it under the carpet. The truth of the matter is that it's the future. It will catch up with us. It's becoming the next official language. So as much as possible, whatever space we're in, let's add technology to all that we know already and all that we aspire even to know. That will be all from me. Over.
Uh, Thank you so much. I've also really been reminded of so many things and learned quite a lot from all of you. You're all women that I really respect and hold in high regard. I've had the opportunity of working with everybody with at least to different varying degrees, and I want to just say that at Become Change Institute, like we said, it's not just about conversations; it's about doing. So we are open to partnering with anybody at whatever level. I mean, we've had conversations with Anne, despite I've not seen Anne in over many, many years, right? Almost 20 years, But because of what Maurice said, technology, and we now live in a global village, we can be able to just keep impacting each other regardless of our geographical uh, uh, regardless of where we are. So at Become Change Institute, we work at the intersection of private sector, government sector, the startup ecosystem, all through. We have experience across it, at least 40 years, when we combine our experience. So we are able to sit at the intersection of each. And what has really helped us is that we have a bird's eye view, having worked all the way from, we've risen up the ranks in all this work. So the idea is that we are able to actually work together in the areas of sustainability, in whatever sector that you're in. So thank you so much. I think let's just embrace integration more. That's what I would say. And again, the issue of gender is there's no world different for men that is different for women, and I think we need to start from the home front. We can be championing at the workplace because we have the authority there, but I think it's also extremely important at home. Well, if we have children with our partners, it's actually very important to start off from the home front, because if you impact at the home front, by the time your children or even your partner is going to the work front, then they already have a different mindset. Some people are really good, some men are really good at the workplace but not really good at home, some are good at home and not at the workplace. And I think we need to normalize this thing, and also just affirm the males around us that it's not weakness to actually be empathetic of the other gender that is us. And it's also a good thing to talk to women and tell them that it's not a war among the genders. We live in this world together, we need to make these things work. I mean, we all have families, and we all know that to make children, we have to collaborate, right? So to create anything, you have to collaborate, right? Whether it's at the home front or out there. So I think we need to keep championing first at the home front, whether with our siblings, with our partners, and also our children from a young age. Anne talked about the issue of women not even taking up positions of scholarships. So it's a systemic issue too. It's one thing to mentor your child, but not mentor the rest of her classmates who might deter her. So how do we, when it comes to policy, how do we even as private sector say that for us to be able to fund certain programs, then there has to be a systemic change in the education system? You get the idea? Right? So that we start from an early age, from when they are 9 years, 10 years, or let them not start dreaming about these things, or seeing people on television and wanting to be different things. So I think we need to champion for systemic change, and also at the corporate sector, change policy with our partners so that they are actually inclusive and when funding or partnering with others. So just being like active participants. So thank you so much for this. We really, really appreciate. Again, I thank you so much, Ibironke. Thank you so much for creating time. I know what is on your shoulder and how many people depend on you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maurice. I know you were traveling. I know how the airlines get. It's not like, even Grace working for Kenya Airways. Sometimes you know how it is when there are delays at the airport. Let's not get into that conversation. Thank you so much, Maurice, for taking time. And thank you so much for joining us all the way from another continent. We really appreciate you. And we look forward to supporting you in all your work. Diwura, please take over the whole of Sub-Saharan Africa. And congratulations for all you're doing for us. Grace, congratulations for also just, you must be doing great for your portfolio to keep being increased. All our viewers, thank you very much. I also just want to tell all our panelists that this conversation will actually be shared across networks with our RLC. So it will go into, this conversation will actually be used as a case study conversations. So there might be follow-up conversations on this. So we have some partners that actually will use this in their classrooms. So it's practical. It's not just about mentorship, but so if they have any questions, we would get back and would be able to answer them. So it was not just another conversation. So this is a showcase. So just feel that you've mentored people beyond. And because this is a digital product, it will go on and on, keeping mentoring people. So we'll share the link with you just in case you also have other networks that you would want to share this conversation with. They need to know that there's a Grace doing amazing work somewhere else, Diwura doing amazing work, Morris, Ibironke. Everybody needs to know this because we can't keep mentoring in a silo. We are global citizens living in a global village. Thank you very, very much. And yeah, let's do great things together. And thank you for becoming change.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you,
Everyone.
Colin.
Yeah.
Bye
All right,
bye.
bye.
Bye. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Colin. Thank you, everyone.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Pauline.